So thank you guys so much for coming. This is our second virtual workshop. Let me go ahead and begin. Something really quick over here. I'm sorry, I'm not recording. There it is. All right, great. So super stoked to have everybody. My name is Chris. I'm from Pantheon Music Academy, and we're super thrilled to have Southgate and Scott from Feral Artist Agency. As a very short preface, if you guys are watching this in real time with us, we're super thrilled to have you. Thank you guys so much for joining us. You guys do have full access to watch this entire workshop. No interruptions during the live stream. At any point that you want to revisit this or you want to watch the live stream in its entirety, feel free to subscribe and join us for the humble cost of $5 a month. You'll have access to this video and a bunch of other content that we develop for you. Without further ado, we have Southgate and once again Scott with us. A little bit of a background. Scott has been working in the music industry for some time, and most recently he's not only been managing folks like Southgate, but Evie as well, which is kind of an international star from the Netherlands, if you guys don't already know that, by the way. Thanks to the brave efforts and the golden locks of Scott, Southgate has been booked for a variety of different acts, from Nightfall, which is a pretty awesome festival. We had him do Backwoods and the upcoming Grindfest that's taking place here in Houston, Texas. He's done direct support slots for established acts like G-Space and Toadface, and he's going to go ahead and take it. I'm going to give it up to Scott and up to Alex to now walk us through the steps and how they ended up not only meeting each other, but independently how they collaborate together in order to push the Southgate brand. If you guys don't already know that, this is an artistic endeavor, becoming a DJ and becoming an artist, but at the end of the day, you are a business, and having a business component behind your brand is essential towards you making it and getting access and opportunities. Go ahead and take it away, Scott and Alex.
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
What's up, guys?
All 10 of you guys. 11. Cool. So I'm Scott. I got into management and stuff probably, we took it serious. I started taking it more seriously maybe July of last year. So it's almost been a full year. It started when I was booking an act, Drebum, for Nightfall. And the boys had no management. I was just talking to them directly, and their brand was awesome, and they were my first client. And then we came across, I don't know, when was it? November? It was before then.
I think it was September, randomly.
Yeah, that same year. Yeah, our friend Richie, we were just in the car together, and he was like, "Oh, you got to check out this guy Southgate." And I was like, I kind of rolled my eyes because, I've heard that a lot. I had no idea who this kid was, but he put on his tunes, and it was his first 3 or 4 tracks that he had ever made. I think he was at around 300 followers. Probably less. Yeah, I don't know. And then, there was the kind of experimental beats that was very out of the box, left field. It was different. I was a rhythm kid, big into dubstep, from 2012 into 2017, and I was just kind of tired of it. And so his sound was really fresh. And so I hit him up on SoundCloud, and I remember I was like, "Yo," I was like, "I'm Scott," I was like, "I love your shit," hit me up on Facebook, and turned out we were already friends. He had sent me a friend request, and it was just, I didn't know him, but producer, lives in Austin. Okay, cool. Are we not screen sharing? Oh, anyways, that was how I found Alex.
All right. And what was your journey like, Alex? Actually, right before we start, Scott, you do have your video up as far as your webcam up.
Yeah.
You're free to take a screen share whenever you want.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Oh, here we go.
And then, Alex, how did you end up in the position that you're in? So it's even before you got the opportunity to meet Scott, what were you working on?
Okay. So I actually went to school for something else. I got a bachelor's in computer animation. So it's basically 3D art for film and games. I always kind of had a passion for music, but I honestly didn't think my parents would support it as much. But now they're very supportive. I guess they don't really care as long as I'm passionate about what I do.
And able to keep a roof over your head somehow.
Yeah. So I got really involved in the scene in Orlando, Florida, and the school I went to also did music production. So I had a few music production friends that actually taught me how to DJ. And then going to the festivals there kind of brought me into wanting to really produce. Um, so then I kind of went balls deep and just bought the full version of Ableton. Figured if I was going to go into this, I might as well get the best program they have. From that point, I really was kind of self-taught. YouTube kind of helped me out with some tutorials on some things, and things I had questions about, I would ask some close friends that I went to school with, so it kind of helped out. But yeah, from that point on, I just pretty much worked at what I was doing every single day, even if I thought it sounded like crap. I kept working at it, and then yeah, eventually I decided to just drop the first EP I did, which I feel like I came a long way from that point.
Yeah, it hasn't even been a full year, but like the tracks back then to now are just like insanely different.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, so once I dropped that EP, that's when Scott hit me up, and pretty much Scott really boosted my confidence a lot higher than. I mean, I still have trouble with my confidence myself, but Scott's a big confidence booster, and Austin as a whole. But yeah, Scott really boosted my confidence into doing a lot more and to not be so hard on myself.
That's incredibly useful. And so it sounds like Scott not only is providing you with the logistical opportunity of getting more bookings, but even the emotional and psychological support necessary for you to continue your craft.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how big of I kind of get into this later in the presentation, but yeah, it's such an important thing that you don't really may not think about. But it's so important that you're able to like kind of connect on more of a human level rather than just like a business side.
Right. Absolutely. It's crucial. You know? So Scott, whenever you want, you're welcome to go ahead and start.
Oh yeah, cool. So yeah, I was up all night last night and I felt like I was back in college again. It was kind of nice. Anyway, so in this, I just kind of go over basically what managers are, what we do, who they are. So pretty much for anyone that works in the industry, promoters, talent buyers for clubs or festivals. I'm a production manager. That's kind of how I kind of nudged my way in. I do stage production. Other artists, label A&Rs, anybody, or extremely close friends. There's kind of like you kind of get either or. You know, some of the newer managers, you may not need experience, but like if there's someone with a lot of talent and you've been childhood friends, you know, that person, you know, the trust is more important than the experience at that point. And so I've seen a lot of relationships and careers grow from just that. And then some of the bigger agencies, you know, they have managers there who have all the connects to promoters and the whole network that we'll get into. And so they, you know, they're given acts, you know, from scouts or whatever, and, you know, they just kind of pair them with these mega agencies. And so what do we do? The shortest way possible. Our job is to create opportunities wherever they may be, whether it's shows, collabs, PR, you know, commercials, publishing and licensing, you know, any way that your artist can grow, you know, it's our job to find those. Secondly is to establish that network or a team. You know, it really does take a team to create artists and brands. Like no one does this shit by themselves. I mean, you can get to a point, you know, but really to like be one of these top tier artists, you know, it takes an entire network. And so it's up to the manager to bring those people in. We advise on all their music. Alex sends me stuff, you know, everyone will send me like unreleased stuff. Wait, what do you think about this? Honest feedback, critique, you know, so that way the artist doesn't feel like you're just bragging on them. You know, they know it's coming from a genuine place. And in turn, you turn their vision into a reality, whatever that might be. Every artist has like this mental image in their head. And so we have to translate it. And we kind of we're talking about it. We're like a support system. Every artist I've worked with, no matter like big, small, they've all had periods of self-doubt, depression. Um, they just don't feel like it's worth it, or they're like they're just not getting anywhere. And it's important to be able to connect with them and be able to be that reassurance that like I wouldn't be working with you if I didn't think you had what it takes. So being that backbone is pretty important. So this is kind of what we're talking about, like the network. So we start with our manager in the middle, from the artist. And so, the manager can direct it in any direction. So the booking agents, whether they be in Europe or North America, they then talk to the event promoters, and relay the booking communications there. Any music label A&Rs that they deal with distribution and radio, PR, public relations. And so it's all just stemming back from the manager. And then your publisher. So you're syncing, licensing, so you can get your music out into media, TV, film, whatever it may be. We recently closed a cool publishing deal for Drevum. They released 2 tracks, and there's going to be a Japanese film. They have a bunch of Japanese fans. That's and really so cool. They sent me the movie clips, and they're like, we want to play these songs over these clips. And so I was able to work out a deal, and we sent them the masters. So it was that was their first experience with that.
Very cool. And just as a spark notes, looking back at that previous graph that you have, just to clarify, you have manager, agent, and publisher. Are there scenarios in where these roles are separate? Are there scenarios where it's
they're
together?
mostly separate. Yeah. Early in a career, kind of like me and Alex, like I'm acting as both the manager and the booking agent. That's, maybe at some point, he gets so big that, UTA or Paradigm or someone wants to pick him up because they have more opportunities for him. I have then the option to, sit down with him. I'll retain management, but we let the bigger agency handle bookings.
Very cool. And I know that the next slide, you're actually going into what management is. So I feel like now.
Oh yeah. It's more of, at what stage, like, do you think you need one? A lot of big artists, there's so much business stuff, you can't handle it all. And so you need that extra hand to like delegate this stuff. So that way you can just focus on music. If you're not having this problem, it's your best bet's probably just to be focusing on your music. But then there's always someone who can come in and try to help grow your brand. That's always helpful. So it's pretty mutually beneficial when new artists link up with new managers, because they both kind of have nothing to lose. They're both learning, and it's the lowest risk, highest reward for both parties.
Right.
Sometimes, if it's vice versa, it's the relationship's too one-sided and one can take advantage of the other. So picking your manager, really you gotta like let this begin organically. You can't just hit someone like random person up who, manages artists and be like, hey, here's my EPK. Do you want to manage
me? Please manage me. And why not? Why is that not a good idea?
It's not organic, because the manager artist relationship is so personal, it's hard to just establish that kind of relationship, just over, just a random EPK that, you get sent your way. It does happen, if it happened to me, I'll get into it. Her name's Levendo. So, she sent something. The main reason why, we started working together is because she was highly recommended from one of my really close friends.
Right. So there's some kind of a personal connection that's made, even if it's indirectly.
Personal connection, right. Like it had that personal touch to it. And so I knew all the same people she knew, and like it's fairly similar circles. So it worked. You can connect with your artist buddies, your colleagues. You can connect with their managers. That's how I met Brothel and Evie, was through Drevum. They had collaborated on music together, and they were both looking for something. They were both needing help. And so since they were so closely related, I was like, yeah, let's totally work. And so, I reached out to Alex. I heard his music and I was like, yo, this is tight. So that was me reaching out to him. And a lot of times there's no contracts. This is just made on a handshake deal. Maybe to start. I think we have a contract. I don't even think me and Alex have a contract.
Probably not. It was just that.
It was just, yeah, exactly. Like, I think I totally, like, it blew in my head. And it's very common, these are like done on handshake deals. But with that being said, you want to like establish a definitive relationship and be like, yo, this is happening. Because if you don't like, tell yourself, yo, this is my manager, this is my artist, you don't put your 100% in it. You start to half-ass it because you don't have that like identification as a manager or you're someone having an artist,
Right.
Okay. And there's deals. So they range from 10 to 20%, typically in the middle, off the gross total revenue, which means that any money that the artist makes, but that's also before deduction. So that's not really like the best deal. I believe that the manager should only make money when the artist makes money. And there's some one-sided deals where like a really established manager with a really inexperienced artist, that manager might take money from the artist even though the artist isn't making anything. That's not fair to me. I don't know.
At the same time, I guess I would argue a case-by-case basis, right? Because it's like,
for sure.
If you have the money and you have like the ability of being able to just say, hey, guide me, coach me, walk me through this process. They have access to all the networks.
On intentions, if that manager has no intention of really working with this artist, they're just taking their money, it's messed up. But, at the same time, they do provide valuable services.
Right.
And so it's, and if you have the money, it takes money to make money. So,
yeah, it's a business after all, right?
Yeah, for sure. So these deals usually last from like 1 to 3 years, preferably 3, because, it really takes this is a long game to build anyone's career, no matter how good you are. So those 3 years are pretty good. And then in some deals, there's sunset clauses. Say Alex were to just totally blow up and he's like, all right, fuck you, Scott. I'm going to go sign with Warpath. And I may have a sunset clause, which allows me to make a percentage of commission of what he makes every year, at a diminishing rate. So it starts at like 10, or it starts at 15, then goes down to 10, then 5, then 0 every year. Okay. So that way I'm still able to make money off of the work I put in those 3 years.
Thank you guys so much for joining and tuning into our channel. You can find us and any of our 30-minute video excerpts for free on YouTube. You're also more than welcome to join us directly on our live stream. Visit our website at pantheonmusicacademy.com, subscribe with your email address, and you'll get notices the moment that we go live on stream. If you weren't able to catch any of our past presentations simply because you missed them or you just didn't have the time, no worries. For just the cost of a $5 cup of coffee a month, you'll be able to gain access to our entire video library. How cool is that? Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.